We're going to walk through something now that I call the practice story. And what I mean by that is sort of the story of how practice generally works, the different phases of practice and how they affect each other. So, in general, I'm going to walk you through sort of the typical situation with practice, and then we'll kind of dive into the different phases. But generally, you can look at this little graph here, and what it's saying is up and down is how much better at something you are getting. So if I am getting higher up on this graph, I'm getting better at the skill. And time is just how much time you need to put into it, right? So anything over here means you've been spending a lot of time. Over here means you're spending zero time. So as I go over more time, I should be getting higher up and better at the skill. Okay, so in general, what happens is you go through a series of phases. So phase one is basically you've never done something before. You're practicing it for the first time. You're trying it for the first time. You might not even be calling it practice. So you're starting at nothing. You've spent no time on it. You know nothing about it. So anywhere you go from there is going to be going up. You're going to grow. Anything you do is better than knowing nothing at all. So you'll put some time in and you'll grow pretty fast. Phase two, right, is the burst when you kind of decide that you're really going to practice it. You're going to commit to this thing and work on it. That's when you really see some fast growth because you're basically going from nothing, but you're focusing, getting help. And so, again, you're making a lot of gains and getting a lot better in a very little amount of time. Now, phase three is the hardest part, and this is where persistence comes in. We'll get back to that in a little bit, but this is where you stop growing for a little bit. Like you started growing really fast for a while, and then you kind of hit this phase that we call plateau because it's flat. It's like a tabletop, right? Where you kind of get stuck. And that's usually when people quit. So that's why at phase four, it goes way down because you get much worse if you quit and you're going to spend no more time on it. Or phase four means you push on and you persist and you start growing at a steady rate, but not as high of a rate as you did right at the beginning because as you're starting to master a skill, it takes more time to learn sort of small little bits. Okay, so this is basically how practice works from a general level throughout time. And we'll kind of jump in and out of some videos about what's happening in your brain as you're practicing, but this is just sort of how your time is spent, what you can see from the outside when you're trying to learn how to practice. So now we'll dive into the different sections of this.